So we have created our navbar and we have made it responsive. Now in this video we are going to start creating the main body of our web page. So let's just get started quickly. And this is going to be a section. So this is going to be the first section of our web page. And it's going to be a container, and inside this container we are going to have rows and columns. Okay, so now let me just bring this script file down here. Let's go up here. Now, like I said, we need a container. It's going to be a div, and we're going to give the class container, and you will see this a lot in web pages. So now, like I said, inside this container we are going to have rows and columns. So we have placed our container. Now let's go over to our web page and style it. And this container is going to be inside the default styles. Okay, so we have a header, footer, and nav for our default, and also the body. So we are going to add more default style. So we're going to add the container. Now, what do we want to style inside this container? What style do we want to give this container? First of all, we want our container to have a width of 100% because we want it to stretch all the way to the ending of the screen. So we want to give it a width of 100%, and then we are also going to give it a margin of auto. Now what this margin of auto does is it's going to take everything and it's going to split it, and it's going to give it an even distribution, and it's going to place everything inside of that container. It's going to place them in the center of the web page. Okay, so that's what this margin of auto does. It's going to bring everything to the center. Now what next do we want to style here after the margin auto? We want, for this our container, we want to give it a padding top of 4%, and we also want to give it a padding bottom of 4%. Now we are giving this a padding top of 4% and a padding bottom of 4% because we want space to be, because we are going to be having lots of containers in our web page. So we want space. We want to create some space between all the containers on our web page. So all the containers we are going to be having inside of our web page, we want there to be space, everything to look neat. Okay, we don't want them to be jam-packed to each other. We want some space. So that's why we're giving it a padding top of 4% and a padding bottom of 4%. Now the next thing we need to do, because this is a container, we are going to be having a background color for this container. So what we are going to do, we are going to give this div a class. We are going to give this div a class, this container a class. So we are going to give an ID, and we are going to call, since this is going to be our first section, we're going to say first section, first section background. We'll say ID of first section background. So we are giving this an ID because we want to work with this particular container. So that's why we are giving it an ID. So let's go over to our styles.css. Now that is going to be for our custom style. So we are going to place another comment down here. So it's going to be for our custom style. So I already have these comments. Let me just paste it. Like I said before, this is not displayed on the web page. This is just for styling purpose, because if we have lots of code, we want to remember a certain part of our code. So that's why we are stating a comment here. So this is going to be our custom styles. Now inside of our custom styles, let's get that ID. That ID we just stated now. So we'll say, so we use our pound sign, first section background, the first section background, And now we want to give this a background color. We're going to give this a background color of turquoise. Now you can use any background color, but this is going to be the background color I'm going to use. Okay, so you can use any one you want, but I'm going to give it a background color of turquoise. So if we go over to our web page now and refresh this, so if we refresh now you can see we have our background color of turquoise. You can see our nav bar at the top, and you can see we have our background color. Now, like I said before, inside of this container, we are going to have rows and we are going to have columns. So we are going to specify the row now. Okay, so inside of this container, we're going to have a row. So we'll say div. The class will be row. Now let's go over to our styles of CSS and style the row. And let's go over to our default. So for our default styles, we're going to style the row. The row is going to be our default style. So let me create some space here. Now for this row, as usual, we say dot row as period. And then we want to always give this a width of, because this is also a section, so we are going to give it a width of 100%, a width of 100%, and we are also going to give it now there is this property I want to do now, and I know I haven't explained it, but I will explain it now. It's called display flex. Now when you use a display flex, this property allows you to be able to it helps to be able to flex some content inside of a particular div. In case maybe the browser shrinks to a certain width, it's going to help flex it. Okay, it's going to help move it around, and it will help move it around for it to look neat, to fit a particular width of the screen. Okay, so that's what this display of flex does. So now when you specify a display of flex, this display of flex allows you to add other properties. Okay, it allows you to add some certain properties, like for example, you can add flex wrap, and then you can set it to wrap. Okay, so see, when specing a display of flex, it allows you to add some certain other properties, like this flex wrap of wrap. Okay, so now what this flex wrap does is, if the browser shrinks to a certain width, it's going to wrap the elements. Okay, it's going to wrap the content inside of our div, inside of this row div. Okay, so once the browser shrinks, it's going to wrap the content. Okay, going to make it fit the screen. Okay, so that's what this flex wrap does. Okay, so we are going to align items in the center. Align items center. Okay, so we gave it a width of 100%, a display of flex. Like I said, when you use a display of flex, it's going to allow you add the flex wrap and the align items of center. So we are giving it a display of flex. It will help flex our content inside of our row div, and it will help wrap it once the screen once the width of the screen shrinks. Okay, it's going to wrap the content inside of our row div. Okay, and we are also aligning it to the center. Okay, so now if we refresh this, it's not going to really do anything. So we just refresh. This is not going to do anything because we have not added any items inside of this row div. Okay, so but this is our container on our row, and we are also going to be adding columns. We're also going to be adding columns inside of this row. So in the next video, we are going to start adding our columns. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next lecture.